Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Candidatorium here, where we have a dual match in Patriot League swimming between Bucknell and Army. As you hear, the pool, as always, pretty loud here in Lewisburg. And we're going to start, of course, with the 200 relay here for both sides. Try to get you here a little bit of a rundown. But, of course, coming into today's matchup today, we can look back. Bucknell yesterday getting a big win versus LaSalle, their first action back since the Bucknell Invitational. Of course, Bucknell did have a couple individuals that were competing over at the Toyota US Open. They had Clara Renner, who made the A finals in the 500 free for the women, and she got 6th place at the Toyota US Open, and then she also won the B final in the 200 free. So congratulations to Clara Renner, just a freshman here for Bucknell. A lot of good freshmen you'll see here in the pool today for both sides. Of course, Army as well, as we're getting ready to go here with the 200-yard medley relay. Swimmers into the pool here. Bucknell will be in lane 1. It's Detman, Stallmeyer, Camperlango, and Colkin. Lane 2, McCain, Dudley, Williams, and Weber for Army. In lane 3 for Bucknell, Bugle, G, Renner, and Piaciento. And lane 4, stop from there is Bucknell here. Starting off pretty well, pretty even along the way. A nice turn here in lane number 2 for Army's Angie McCain. As she's out in front here early on. We're in the backstroke portion of things here. Looks like also out in lane number 4 for Army, Jenna Hart with a nice start. She's sitting in second right now as the second swimmer into the pool for each lane here. A great job staying underneath there for Army. Still in lane number 2. Now it will be Dudley for Army leading the way, but things are getting much closer. Of course, the Black Knights had 1 and 2 after the first swimmers. Staying underneath here with the breaststroke. Bucknell trying to slide into second place here, so it looks like in lane number 4 now, it will be Catriona Gilmore, who ends up taking first place away for Army. Bucknell sitting, it looks like in second there. Sydney G had a nice swim, as now we move into it here, into our next event, and quickly down and back around we go. Out in front, still in lane number 4 for Army. That's now Sydney Brager. Looks like in second place is going to be in the second lane here for Army, which is now up to Clara Williams, the senior. Bucknell doing pretty well in the 5 lane on the far side. That's Sam Bazija. And now we're on to the last swimmer here for both teams. Army still out in front. We're in the freestyle. A nice turn in lane number 4 for Army, and that's Megan Coleman, the senior. And she's out in front by a bit, being chased here in second place by her Army counterpart in Molly Webster. We're going to the line, and coming close is going to be Webster, and it looks like the Black Knights are going to win first and second. Looks like in lane number 5 for Bucknell, it was Burns, Bingley, Bazija, and Kelly getting third place. Unofficial, of course, here, but it looks like on the board, Bucknell pretty well there in heat number 1. Army as well, of course, you have some pretty key performers for Army. When you look at their freshmen, Clara Renner, who was, Clara Renner for Bucknell. But if you look at Army, Megan Cole, been pretty good as senior, and Clara Williams as well as senior for Army has been stalwart so far this season. As we move on to the men's side of things, be in lane number 1, Bucknell, lane 2, Army, lane 3, Bucknell. As we move along, it'll be Beagle starting for Bucknell in lane 1, Edwards in lane number 2 for Army, Hagedorn in lane number 3 for Bucknell, Johnny Crush, the freshman, for Army in lane number 4, Yevon for Bucknell in lane number 5, Leith for Army in lane number 6, and Kuhn for Bucknell in lane number 7 as we get ready to go here with the backstroke. Of course, some people to look out for here in lane number 4, Johnny Crush. Johnny Crush, he's the men's swimmer of the week last week in that huge win for Army against Navy. He won 2 events. He won the 100 back. He set a program record and a pool record, and a 200 back he also won as well. In lane number 2 here, looks like Edwards out to a good start, but no surprises. Johnny Crush is leading the way here as we move to the second of the relay. And Army well out in front here. My goodness, what a great job staying underneath the water that time and getting a big advantage. In second place will be in lane number 2 here for Army. Currently swimming for them is going to be Joey Kling, of course. So all Army here in this one. Army also in third place via the 6th slot as well. Looks like it was Leaf and Durkin who started there. As now the Johnny Crush group in lane number 4 already. Oh my goodness, look at this. Army just really getting out to a huge lead here as they get the turn on the third leg of the relay here and darn near lapping everybody here. Definitely some help from Johnny Crush, but a great job in lane number 4 by their second swimmer as well. In Cohen Rankin, and now they're already down to the 4th one. They were the first person in the water by a couple seconds here, so Army certainly going to win, and we're going to go down to the second lane where Army also having a good run as well. It's Joey Chang, the sophomore, trying to finish things out and get a second place finish for their relay group. Bucknell on the 5 lane here, looking to finish out in third. It's DeSanto, the senior for Bucknell, who's cruising his way on home. Army, of course, getting the first place in the 5 lane of in the 4 lane of Johnny Crush, Cohen Rankin, Owen Harlow, and Thomas Hadji. Then for Bucknell, Hedges, Russell, and DeSanto getting third place there in that instance. And for the Army B team in lane number 2, it was Alex Edwards, Joey Kling, Jack Mowry, and Joey Chang finishing in third. So a great run there for the Army men to start things off here against Bucknell. Of course, as we said, Johnny Crush, he set a program and a pool record last time. Let's, of course, talk about the other Patriot League swimmer of the week from the women's side, also on this Army Black Knights team. That being McCain for Army. She was the Patriot League swimmer of the week. She got a pool record in the 200 medley relay, and she was also first place in the women's back, where she decided to also have another pool record. So, of course, that huge win was the first win for the Black Knights versus the midshipmen on the women's side of things since 1986, I believe it was. Nonetheless, of course, diving also going on as well for Bucknell as we see Bucknell and Army on the far side, where the water polo usually takes place here. Of course, I guess it takes place across all of it here in Kinney-Natorium. Always a fun time. See the divers there getting after it for Bucknell. As we move on now to the women's 1,000 freestyle, heat number 1. Give you the lanes here for everybody. In lane number 2, the sophomore for Army will be Mary Chandler. Lane number 3 for Bucknell, Kendall Lukey. She's a senior. Then in lane number 4 for Army, Maggie Croning. She's also a senior for the Black Knights. Kelly Byrne, the sophomore from Bucknell, will be in lane number 5. Bridget O'Shaughnessy will be in lane number 6 for Army. And lane number 7 will be Brooke Worth for Bucknell, the freshman. Of course, no seating time, many of these, so won't be able to give you too much there with that. But we do move into the 1,000-yard freestyle here at Kinney-Natorium with Army leading on both sides of things here in the swimming department thus far. Into the starting blocks here, if you will. Pretty even start across the board here. Looks like a early lead will be given out here to Mary Chandler, the sophomore from Army, but everybody pretty much keeping about the same pace here on their first time down. And as we said, Bucknell getting a nice win yesterday in both the men's and women's side against LaSalle, heading down to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The women with a 50-point win, and the Bucknell men kind of dominating against LaSalle yesterday. They won 183 to 116. Alex Crossing and Andy Dorsal both won 4 events for the men for Bucknell. And of course, Coach Schinnerer's group here on the men's side, they're coming in at 3-2. On the women's side, coming in at 4-1. The women have beat Lafayette, American, LaSalle, and Boston University. They also got 3rd at the Bucknell Invitational. And the men come in for Bucknell at 3-2 overall. They just got that win against LaSalle last night. They also beat Boston and American. And Army coming in at 6-1 on both sides of things. The only loss so far for the Black Knights to Minnesota on that side of things. We're still pretty even here. The front runner early on is still Mary Chandler. She's in lane number 2 here. You can see her just out in front of the group here, but also with a pretty nice run so far out in lane number 4 is Maggie Croning for Army as well. Kind of here. Crowd getting into it here. Nice little crowd here. Obviously, no students back on Bucknell's campus here yet. We'll welcome them back pretty soon. I believe next week, maybe the week after sometime. So maybe get a little bit more hostility in the environment in that regard. But good crowd from the parents, family, and friends here today in Canadian-Torrent. Of course, women's basketball going on about 250 feet away over in Soika Pavilion as well. So a lot of stuff going on here today at Bucknell. As we're on to lap number 9 here. Still out in front in lane number 2 will be Mary Chandler for Army. Also still in second place, looking like lane number 4 once again, which will still be Maggie Croning. Bucknell falling a little bit behind here. They do look like they do have the individual in third, which is out in that 5th lane for Bucknell. Looks like Kelly Byrne, the sophomore. She's holding on to third place, albeit pretty close tie out there between her and the swimmer in the 6th lane, Bridget O'Shaughnessy. There's a pretty big lead being figured out here by Maggie Cronin. Cronin about probably a full body length out in front right now. And Cronin, of course, is the senior from Castle Rock, Colorado, Douglas County High School alumni. One of 6 seniors on this Black Knights team here. Of course, the Black Knights coming in, as we said, 6-1, getting a win against Navy for the first time on the women's side since 1986. So one of the best Army teams we've had in a while. And of course, Mary Chandler and Maggie Cronin so far in the 1 and 2. Looks like also on that far 5th lane, though, however, for Bucknell, Kelly Byrne might be sneaking her way into second place. She does take over second place after an excellent turn on her way through. We're on lap number 15 here in the 1,000 free in the women's side of things. Neck and neck for second place right now between Cronin and Byrne. They are kind of, I guess, almost like 3 different packs here. You have your first place in Mary Chandler. She's out in front a little bit, but it looks like the Bucknell swimmer Byrne and also Maggie Cronin catching up here. Try to check some of the splits for you here as we run along. We're on lap number 17 now. And yeah, it's much closer here between the 2, the 4, and the 5 lanes. They're almost neck and neck as we move farther along in this race. And now, looks like taking the lead in lane number 4 will be Maggie Cronin, and into second place is Kelly Byrne. But that's pretty close. Don't quote me on that one. We're on number 19 here. Couple of excellent turns here, especially in the 4 lane that time by Cronin, and she takes a lead by about a hand on that far side. In the 4 and 5 lane, they're really getting after it, and they turn again here, and it's going to be neck and neck between the 4 and the 5. Still in third place will be Mary Chandler for Army, but she's going to have to make up some ground here. It's Byrne for Bucknell in the 5, Cronin for Army in the 4 lane here in the 1,000 free. Of course, Army, coached by Brant Negro. He is named the head coach here 2019. He's the 6th year at the helm. Of course, you have COVID in there as well, so whatever you want to count that as still out in the lead here. We're on lap number 23. It's going to be Maggie Cronin, but just by a bit, it looks like Kelly Byrne might end up taking this lead here as she's really picking up the pace in these later laps here in the 1,000 free for the women's side. Some excellent turns as well, and still sitting in third place for Army Mary Chandler in the 2 lane on the bottom of your screen. Coming down to the thick of it here. Byrne picked up a little bit of ground there on her turn initially, and it looks like, yeah, they're still neck and neck there in lanes number 4 and 5, something you're probably used to seeing if you're a big fan of swimming here. And we're getting down to it, and it's a nice turn again. We'll see who comes out on top after the turn. Still in 3rd place, of course, is going to be Mary Chandler, but she's well far behind the top 2 now. Army looking like they're going to take at least 2 places here out of the top 3. Also on that far side in lane number 6, Bridget O'Shaughnessy running pretty well in 4th place for Army as well. A little bit behind the pack, but Kelly Byrne just a little bit behind here yet. And of course, we'll move on to the men's 1,000-yard freestyle next. We get to see Alex Crossing, the junior for Bucknell, as now getting a little bit farther out in front here, maybe getting stronger down the stretch. In that 4 lane is Maggie Croning for the Black Knights. Of course, Coach Brandt, when he took over here since 2019, they're 45, 29, and 1 overall, and they're doing meet records. They're also 20 and 10 against Patriot League opponents, so seen quite a lot of success. And in 23 and 24, it's one of the most successful campaigns they had in program history, of course, for Army, as they set new program records in 26 out of 44 events. That's something else. And Cohen Rankin, of course, you will see a little bit later on, qualified for the NCAA championships in the 100 and 200 breast as well. So it's the first Army swimmer to qualify for the NCAA championship since 1987. So team certainly in the right direction. Of course, soon to go to Dan Schindler is you hear the teams getting on their respective swimmers. They've almost lapped out on the 7 lane there for Bucknell. It's still Byrne chasing after Cronin for Army, and Chandler is chasing those top 2. Byrne, I mean, they're neck and neck here between the 4 and 5. I'm right on pool level here, so it might look a little bit different from the angle you're at from up top, of course. But pretty much neck and neck, and what a great turn that time by Army's Cronin, and just taking the lead back. It looked like Byrne was going to snag it there, but staying under that water just a bit longer and maintaining a lead. As we're on lap number 35 now, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, as my grandmother would say. And Byrne, once again, it's almost like she's catching up each time as she swims through it, but that turn for Army has just been a little bit better so far from Cronin. And these teams really getting after it here, cheering on their respective swimmers. Bucknell hoping to maybe slide into a 1st place finish here if Byrne can just gain a little bit more ground. We're approaching the 10-minute mark here in the 1,000 free. And it's neck and neck. And we are down to our last lap here in the 4 and 5 lane. Also will be in the 2 lane once she gets there as well. But could be a real barn burner here to end it. We hear the teams getting into it. And here comes the turn on the last lap. It's going to be Cronin versus Byrne, lanes 4 and 5. Coming down to it. Looks like Byrne, just looked like Cronin just out in front by a little bit. Byrne trying to make the distance up, and it looks like at the buzzer, it's going to go to Cronin. She wins it by just 0.2 of a second over Byrne. No one has finished yet. It looks like Chandler is going to round things out here in the 3rd place spot for Army. So Army will get 2 out of the top 3 here, as they did in the first relay, in the 200-yard relay. But a nice run there for Kelly Byrne, the sophomore for Bucknell, finishing in at 2nd against Cronin. Cronin just got better as the race went on. It seemed like her turns were pretty much perfect and just had a little bit more than Byrne, as in lane number 7, it will be Brooke Worth, the freshman, finishing it up for Bucknell in 6th. So Army finishing Cronin, and then Byrne, and then Chandler. As we move on to the men's side of things for the 1,000-yard freestyle. In lane number 1 for Bucknell, a junior, Sam Sweetser. In lane number 3 for Bucknell, William Shoemaker. In lane number 4 for Army, Bryce Berriol. In lane number 5 for Bucknell, junior Alex Crossing. Lane number 6, Sam J. Riley. In lane number, that's for Army, a freshman. And in lane number 7 for Army, Franks Finn from Bucknell. As we get ready to go here, you can kind of hear that diving board going off there. Still don't know how they do that. You see there on the low platform. But we're ready here for the 1,000-yard freestyle on the men's side of things. And they're off. Off to a lightning fast pace here. And leading the pace in lane number 4 for Army. It's Bryce Berriol. Lane number 5 for Bucknell is Crossing. He's in second currently. Also sitting in this near lane, lane number 3. It's William Shoemaker also with a pretty good run. He's sitting around 3rd place, and in lane number 7 for Bucknell as well. Sitting around that top 4, but out in front so far is Berriol. Of course, we talk about the Army coaching staff on the Bucknell side of things. Coach Schindler. He was the Patriot League Men's Coach of the Year in 2018, 2010, 2022, and the Women's Coach in 2013 and 2020. This is his 17th season as the head men's and women's swimming and diving coach here at Bucknell. And in his 16 seasons, he's had 15 individual and 5 relay school records that have fallen on the men's side of things. And most recently, that'd be the 50 free, the 100 free, the 200 free, and the 100 butterfly. 200 butterfly, the 200 IM, and all 5 of the relay records. And that was just in 2021. In 2022, Schindler was recognized as the 2022 Patriot League Men's Coach of the Year that year after they broke 11 school records and won 6 medals at the Patriot League Championships. They got 3rd place in that event. And they finished in the top 4 at the Patriot League Championships in every single season under Coach Schindler's watch. So, obviously, that goes without saying. It's unbelievably impressive. As still in lane number 4, leading it here in the 1,000 men's freestyle, it's Bryce Berriol. He is a junior from Las Vegas, Nevada, an alumni of the Nevada Learning Academy. Just in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, rather recently. Unbelievable landscapes out there. Hoover Dam, pretty cool. See there on the diving side of things. We're back over to the swimming side of things now, where once again you see Berriol still leading it here. Alex Crossing with a pretty good run, but thus far it's been all Army in this one. Although Bucknell does have, looks like they have 3 out of the top 4 out there right now, so that'll be good for the Bison. Only 5 swimmers in the pool currently, of course, in this race. Alex Crossing, the junior from Victor, New York. He scored 65 points at the Patriot League Championships, and he holds the 5th fastest time in the 500 freestyle, and the 6th fastest time in the 1,000 freestyle, 7th fastest in the 1650 freestyle. He's got 13 wins in individual events for Bucknell. As of now, doesn't look like it might happen here, but still plenty of laps. We're only on lap number 15 here in the pool at Kenny Natorium. 3rd for Bucknell up at the top of your screen. That's Finn J. Franks, the freshman. pool record in the event here at Kinney Natorium, of course, is, this is going to be a heck of a name. So, Amos Sager, which was a 2009 for Princeton in 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Oh, excuse me, that was on the women's side. What am I talking about here? But regardless, it's still Barry Olt. Then it's Crossing, and then it's Franks. Looking at this Bucknell coaching staff, of course, someone who's pretty familiarized with this pool would be Colin Hummel, one of the assistant coaches on this team. He's actually a Lewisburg graduate, so he swam in this pool a lot of different times. He was an all-star, a two-time Division II All-American at Bloomsburg, and he joined the coaching staff here at Bucknell in the fall of 2024. He was magna cum laude at Bloomsburg as well. Cool. Can't believe that, but coached at Frostburg before that in Millersville, so he's very well known in the local swimming community. Good to see if you're a fan of local swimming here. Is still in the lead, Barry Olt for Bucknell, for Army, and then Crossing. And in third is still up at that top part of the screen, Finn Franks. Got a full body length, maybe a body length and a half here so far for Barry Olt. But that win against, as we said, the men have fared a little bit better against Navy in recent history for Army in the Star Meet, as it's well known, which just took place a little bit ago. But the women, as we said, their first win since the 80s. So this women's team, one of the better teams in recent years. And, of course, last year was one of the better years in recent years for this Army swimming side. And maybe looking to even break some of the records from that season, that unbelievable year for the Black Knights in the pool. And against Bucknell all time, when it comes to the men's side of things, Army leads the series 37-32 and 37-32 and 5. There were 5 ties, of course, in there. But that was on the men's side of things. Bucknell fared a little bit better on the women's side of things against Navy, winning 22 out of the first 31 matchups between these two teams. And Army did win it last year up in West Point, however. They won that one pretty handily as well, by about 150 team points. Still the same makeup here of your top 3. Sweetser also almost being blocked off on the 9-year side here as well by the banner, the Bucknell team, having a pretty good run of it as well. Just a freshman. Yeah, you look at some of these awards last year, Patriot League Awards, Coach of the Year was Coach Grant. The Patriot League Championship Rookie of the Meet was Bryce Barriott, who we're seeing right now, and you're seeing a little bit of why, most certainly, as we are now to lap number 35 here in Kinney Natorium, and he is still leading. Could be a coast-to-coast victory here. Still chasing for Bucknell is Alex Crossing. The Bison do look like they're, considering there's only 2 swimmers for Army out there, certainly going to get 2 out of the top 3 places in this event. So we're in heat number 1 here. last lap between lanes number 4 and 5 here. Barry Holt, the reigning Patriot League rookie of the championship meet, is leading the way here pretty easily in Kitty Natorium. Of course, Barry Holt already holds the top time in Army history in the 1,000-yard freestyle with a time of 8:59. He makes his Bucknell is a couple swimmers left here. Looks like in lane 1, lane 3, and lane 6 just finishing up here. So it'll end up Barry Holt crossing Franks, Shoemaker, Riley, and Sweetser here in the 1,000 free. Bucknell getting 2 out of the 3 in the top 3 of the event. However, the win, of course, going to Barry Holt. Back down there, diving side of things. Whew. Don't even know what to call that. I can't really do a dive myself, people, so anything they do down there is just unbelievably impressive to me. Nonetheless, we get ready here for our next event in the pool, which is the women's 200-yard freestyle. With the women's 200 free. In lane number 1 will be Keytron for Bucknell, lane 2 Mesher for Army, lane 3 Hastings for Bucknell, lane 4 Clara Williams, a name to watch out for Army, Riley Giles for Bucknell in lane 5, Peterson for Army in lane 6, Detman for Bucknell in lane 7, and Campbell Payton in lane 8 for Army. Now to an early lead here. Of course, not too many to go. Only 4 up and back twice here. And a nice turn there in lane number 4 by who else but Clara Williams of Army, one of the premier swimmers on this roster. It looks like in 2 and 3 right now is for Bucknell as they make the final turn. It's lane number 3 for the Bison, which is Virginia Hastings, and lane number 5, Riley Giles. A scorching fast pace set here by Clara Williams. As we get down to it, Clara Williams sliding back one more time. She's really excellent on the turns. She's gained a little bit of ground on almost every turn that she's made so far. In second for Bucknell will be Riley Giles, and in third will be Virginia Hastings. But so far, it is all Clara Williams. And Williams comes out on top with a time of 1:50.93, and its second is 1:53.23. And in the third place, that was Giles, and in the third place for Bucknell will be Hastings at 1:54.62. Fourth place will be Keytron, fifth place Detman, sixth place Peterson, seventh place Payton. So we'll move on now to the men's 200-yard freestyle, which of course Wes Tate graduated last year for the Black Knights. He currently holds the all-time top record. See here, Clara Renner for Bucknell in the 200 free. She's still on the roster. She holds one of the top 10 times. I was at the Bucknell invite just a little bit ago in the 200 free. Renner, of course, going out and competing at the Toyota U.S. Open, but move to the men's side of things now. Or in lane number 1, it's Nick Shoppas of Bucknell. In lane number 2, it's George Glover of Army. In lane number 3, it's Zartareski of Bucknell. In lane number 4, it's Pogue of Army. In lane number 5, it's Kopak of Bucknell, who also was just at the U.S. Open. And lane number 6, Jordan of Army. Lane number 7, Twiss of Bucknell. And lane number 8, Peterson of Army. We're off to a fast start here. Men's event. In this event this year, Thomas Hadji actually has one of the top times. Not racing today, 1:35. I guess could have been last season as well, technically. 23-24. But it's a pretty good race here so far between the honestly, 4, 5, and 6 lanes all pretty much dead in a heat right now. 4 Pogue of Army, 5 Kopak of Bucknell, 6 Jordan of Army. And they're all pretty much right on it here. Kopak trying to catch up to his Black Knight counterpart. Hasn't quite yet, and also maybe a little bit of a dark horse on the far side is going to be Max Jordan, who wasn't in first for a while, but he's had a couple nice turns here the last couple times down, and he might take a lead here into this this lap. Nope, looks like it's still actually going to be coming out on top. Will be Pogue of Army. He's gaining a little bit of a lead now. Still in second will be Kopak of Bucknell. As we come down to it, the Army crowd trying to push the boys on here. And getting to the wall first will be Pogue of Army. Second will be Jordan of Army. And third will be Kopak of Bucknell. So Army will get 2 of the top 3 on the men's side of things there. Kopak, of course, already is the career holder in the 200-yard freestyle. Not his best race. He ends up finishing at 1:41, 6 seconds off of his best time. But I was talking to Coach Schindler before the drive yesterday down to LaSalle, and he was saying, especially in these meets, you haven't really done anything in about a month or so. Most teams haven't. Army, Navy, they had their star meet. Bucknell, of course, going up against LaSalle, but maybe not a day where you're going to see a whole lot of records in this, if you will, but a day where, not the best day, I guess you could say, for Kopak of Bucknell, but he's certainly a guy who, once the Patriot League Championships comes around, is one to look for. And Jack Pogue, that'll be a great matchup. Look over to the diving side of things. Don't have a list on kind of who's going over there, but looks like it's the 4 diver for Army. As we now move into the women's 100-yard backstroke, it'll be in lane number 2, McCain of Army. She was a swimmer of the week in the Patriot League earlier on. Then Bugle, then Avery for Army, then Burns for Bucknell, Hart for Army, then Zedra for Bucknell, and McMullen for Army. So in the backstroke here, off to a blazing hot start in lane number 2. Closest to us would be, it looks like McCain of Army, as we said. She won the Patriot League Swimmer of the Week earlier on this season. She has the pool record and the program record of the 200 medley relay, which she just set, and she has the first in the women's backstroke, the pool record over in West Point as well. So something to look out for there. It's been a good race so far, and once again, it's still going to be McCain. Looking like in second right now in the 5 lane. That's Burns of Bucknell, the freshman. So it's freshman versus freshman here for 1 and 2. Sitting at 3. Excuse me, looks like Burns actually ends up taking the wall that time. So Burns of Bucknell coming back and winning it over McCain. That's huge for the Bison there, at least according to the scoreboard. Hart coming in second for me, so it's 58-28 for Burns, who made up quite a lot of ground in the last, let's say 15 meters, 15 yards or so there. For Bucknell, it was Beagle in 4th. 5th is Kuhn, and 6th is Edwards, and then Ferguson rounds out the top. as the men will come in now for the 100-yard backstroke. In lane number 1, it'll be Ferguson of Bucknell, then Kubiak of Bucknell, then Beagle of Bucknell. So Bucknell have the first 3 lanes. Then Edwards of Army will be in lane 4. Hagedorn will be in lane 5 for Bucknell. And in lane 6 will be Leaf of Army. And lane 7, Kuhn of Bucknell. Of course, Crossing and Dorsal won 4 events combined the other night, last night, I guess, against LaSalle. But Braden Beagle also won his event too. But so far in the backstroke, it's going to be Edwards coming out hot for Army. Also up in lane number 6, a nice run there as well from Hagedorn. There should be of Leaf of Army. They make their way back here towards the starting blocks. And it's going to be an easy win that time for Edwards of Army. Coming in second will be Leaf, third will be Beagle, so Army will take 2 out of those top 3. The 100-yard final time of 50.65. Oh, that's the breaststroke, backstroke here. Not even in the breaking the top 10 that time. Of course, Johnny Crush, who set that award earlier this year, is at 46.98, his 100-yard backstroke. He set it, but a nice win that time out, however, for Alex Edwards of Army. As we move now to the 100 breaststroke on the women's side of things, it'll be Stallmeyer in lane 1, then Park for Army, then G for Bucknell in lane 3, then lane 4, Gilmore for Army, lane 5 will be Bingley for Bucknell, lane 6 will be Orson of Army, lane 7, Dokina of Bucknell, and lane 8 will be Dudley of Army. And of course, we're in the breaststroke here. Early lead going out here to Catriona Gilmore. Gilmore, she was a Patriot League Swimmer of the Week earlier on this season. And she still leads it here. In lane 5 for Bucknell, it's Bingley, the junior. She's running in second as of now. And also here in lane number 3 with a pretty good run thus far is Sydney G of Bucknell, the freshman. She's actually coming into second now and making up some ground here against Gilmore of Army. And Gilmore of Army is going to take it by 38/10 of a second. And then third will be Bingley. So Bucknell winning 2 out of the top 3 here in the women's breast. It goes Gilmore, G, Bingley, then Dokina, then Stallmeyer, then Lorson, then Park, then Dudley. So Bucknell with a great run that time. They ended up getting the 2, 3, 4, and 5 spots. So, of course, not winning that, but Gilmore with a nice run there for the Black Knights. Now we'll move it along to the men's 100-yard breaststroke. We'll have Harpster for Bucknell in lane 1, Durkin in lane 2 for Army, Hedges for Bucknell in lane 3, Kling for Army in lane 4, Lombardi in lane 5 for Bucknell, lane 6 will be Hahn, lane 7, Guanadana for Bucknell, and in lane 8 will be Bigham of Army. Pretty close as we get to the first wall turn here. Early lead, a slight early lead, will go to Kling of Army. Also in it will be Hedges of Bucknell and Lombardi of Bucknell. And it looks like also even in that far lane, even Guanadana is kind of in it a bit as well. So we get to the 40-second mark now. We head to our final turn here. They're not going to be breaking any records here, but a pretty good run for both teams. It's kind of going to be up in the air. It's 2 Army men chasing after it here to see who gets 1 and 2. So Army will have 1 and 2. It'll be Hahn, Kling, and then Durkin. Army sweeping the top 3 in the men's 100 breast. Lombardi finishing just 0.2 of a second behind Durkin for third place, but Army, the men, getting 3 huge wins there. That top 3. The winning time of 29, that was a split, of 56.70. Hahn with a 29.60 split in lane number 6 there for Army to win it. He beat out his teammate Kling. Now we're going to move into the women's 200-yard butterfly. Move into the butterfly here. As we said, the 200-yard butterfly. It'll be Camper-Lango for Bucknell, then Weber from Army, Sunderhoff from Bucknell, Breger of Army, Renner of Bucknell, Weber of Army, and Worth of Bucknell. Early lead attributed here to the 4 lane, which is Sydney Breger of Army, just a freshman, but she's been impressive already so far this year. I think it's going to be real close after that turn. Still going to be Breger leading it. However, in the 5 lane for Bucknell, making up a pretty good amount of ground there, was Clara Renner. Both freshmen going at it here, Breger versus Renner. This is one you're going to see for a long time if you're a Patriot League swimming fan. Renner, of course, performing well at the Toyota US Open. She made the A finals and finished 6th in the 500 free, and then she won the B finals in the 200 free. Lane 6 with a pretty good run as well thus far is Molly Weber of Army, as they're coming back to the blocks now. And at the wall, it's going to be Breger winning it by 0.5 of a second. Then it will be Renner and Weber. So that was just a split. I counted wrong. So we're on to the last one now here. But once again, Renner kind of making up ground, and then once these turns happen, although now it looks like Renner might come out on top here. She is. Clara Renner has taken the lead away here from Sydney Breger, and she's down the stretch. In lane number 5 for Bucknell, it's going to be a close one, and Renner wins it for the Bison. The time of 2:02.28 in the women's 200 fly. Weber finishing 0.2 of a second behind her at 2 minutes, 2 seconds, and 74 tenths of a second at second. And then 2:03.39 for Breger in third. You got Sunderhoff in 4th for Bucknell. 5th is Weber, and 6th Camper-Lango, and then Worth just finishing up for Bucknell in lane number 7. So a big win there for Bucknell. However, Army still taking 2 out of those top 3. Go over to the low dive on the far side of things. Oh my. I don't know what they call that, but I certainly won't be trying it anytime soon. Yeah, this diving is just always so crazy to me. Of course, Coach Errol Carter, oddly enough. Of course, a couple kids, lives in Lewisburg here. He's been the coach for quite a while for the diving team here at Bucknell. As we're off now in the men's 200-yard butterfly. Small race here, just 4. It'll be in lane 3, win for Bucknell, lane 4, Mowry of Army, and then Dorsal, Andy Dorsal, one to watch for Bucknell, and Edward Park. Dorsal, of course, winning 2 events against LaSalle the other night. Out in front early on here in lane number 4. That'll be Mowry. Dorsal just behind Mowry, and then in lane number 3, rounding out the 3rd place situation. And that's win for Bucknell. Bucknell Well, obviously, you'll automatically take 2 out of the top 3 here because they have 3 out of the 4 swimmers in the pool currently. I'm no math genius, but there's a nice turn there, once again, by Mowry of Army. Mowry with another nice turn. And Dorsal chasing him here. It's senior versus senior. It's going to be a toss-up for the third place spot here between Park and Wynn as well. It's going to be Mowry coming in first in this split with 29.44, but he is losing a little bit of time. 29.11 on the split there for Dorsal. He gained 0.3 of a second up and back that time. So now we get to our final turn here. And it's still leading the way, coast to coast. Thus far, it's Mowry. Dorsal's going to be close in the end here, but just not quite enough. With a time of 1:52.17, Mowry's going to win it for the Black Knights. Dorsal comes in second at 1:52.33, and Wynn coming in third at 1:54.47. Park rounding it out, 1:55.75. So, I mean, everyone pretty much in the same ballpark there in that heat, but Mowry proving his class, coming out on top. Back to the diving side of things. That 200-yard butterfly. Now we're going to move to the women's 50-yard freestyle. It'll be King in lane 2. In lane 3, it'll be Hastings of Bucknell. Lane 4 will be Cole of Army. Lane 5 will be Kelly of Bucknell. Lane 6 will be Wagner. And lane 7 will be Piacentino of Bucknell. Piacentino, excuse me, and Gross of Army in lane 8. So we're going to have a quick one here. Up and back. Nice turn on the wall. Coming out leading in lane number 4 after an excellent turn and staying underneath of things. That'll be Cole for Army. Kelly chasing for Bucknell in lane 5, and also Hastings. It's going to be close at the wall, and it'll be Cole winning it with a time of 24.28. Hastings came in second at 24.44. Kelly came in third at 24.48. And fourth was Wagner, 24.61, and Piacentino in fifth for Bucknell, and then King and Gross rounding out the 6 and 7 spots for the Black Knights. So an excellent race there by Cole of Army. And now we'll move to the men's 50 free. As I change my page over here, in lane 1 it'll be Green of Bucknell, lane 2 Hadji of Army, lane 3 Russell of Bucknell, lane 4 Johnny Crush, look out for him. DeSanto of Bucknell in lane 5, also look out for him. And then Rankin for Army in lane 6, Smith in 7, Chang in 8 for Army. As we're off to a blistering pace here in the pool at Kinney Natorium. As we'll wait for the to come back up here. It's going to be real close. It's a real barn burner all the way across the board. And coming out on top at the wall will be Crush by less than 1/10 of a second over Rankin of Army. Coming in third will be Hadji, so Army gets all of the sprints that time. 1, 2, and 3. Coming in fourth place for Bucknell that time was Justin DeSanto, but this wasn't enough. That crew of Thomas Hadji, Johnny Crush, and Cohen Rankin doing just a little bit too much for the Bison that time, as Army sweeping the top 3. As we will have a second heat here in the 50-yard freestyle. It'll be Matt Rodabaugh. This must be petrifying if you're Rodabaugh. You're the only man in the pool right now. Although I guess it is nice to just compete against yourself at the same time. Man versus man. Rodabaugh with a nice turn there. About halfway down, the 18-second mark. Just approaching the 20, and he hits the wall at 22.50 for Rodabaugh. Nice run there by him. And we'll move along here now. It'll be the women's 100-yard freestyle. And the 100 will be Piacentino for Bucknell in 1, then Wagner, then Keytron for Bucknell in lane 3. Clara Williams of Army in lane 4. Kyla Kelly in lane 5 for Bucknell. Megan Cole in lane 6 for Army. Virginia Hastings in lane 7 for Bucknell. And in lane 8, Tiana Mesher. Of course, the record in this event, the 100-yard freestyle for Bucknell, set by Maddie Hardigan at 50.01 against American in Loyola in a tri-meet back in 2021. Kyla Kelly also holds a top time in the 100-yard free. We will see right now. That's from the Bucknell invite. Sarah Keytron. Did I see her on the list there? Let's see here. Yep, she'll be in lane 3 for Bucknell. And Kyla Kelly will be in lane 5 for Bucknell. They both hold top 10s all time for this, but just seeing people kind of getting warmed up. We're going to go over to the diving side of things now, of course, where we have the 1-meter dive. It's kind of far away from where I'm sitting here, so it's tough to tell exactly who's up and going in the diving situation over there, but the 1-meter. Current diver is diver number 6, who I don't even see on the list. But either way, the leading diver says down there currently with a score of 272.63 is, they only give first names. That's Isaac. Isaac is leading it down there. Looks like it is for Bucknell. At least I'd assume it's in blue, but maybe all the writing is in blue. It's my first time doing a swim meet here in Kiddington. I've done my fair share of water polo matches in the day, but I got to see Johns Hopkins lose, which is always great for me as a Gettysburg grad. But first time here doing swimming. Always a fun time going to Gettysburg. I got to do a lot of public address announcing back in the day for the Centennial Conference swim meet. So it's good to be back in I wouldn't say in the pool. I don't swim too well, but around the pool, I guess, up here on dry land for Bucknell. As we look down there at the diving side, I think you said Coach Errol Carter, of course, the head diving coach at Bucknell, and the head diving coach over at Army is Connor Dorff. He joined the staff in 2023. He comes to the banks of the Hudson River. He's a 1-year volunteer assistant coach at Duke. During that 2022-2023 season, 5 Blue Devils improved their scores, and while at Durham, he guided 3 athletes to the ACC platform finals. So that's huge to have Coach Connor, and he comes very highly recommended. Some very good words from Coach Brandt as well. He was also the head diving coach at St. Bonaventure University as well. So, you know, definitely a guy who, interesting to see him go to Duke and be a volunteer there, maybe just a move, of course, but really good to see him back in the head diving coach role. And don't worry, folks, it's not synchronized diving. They're the 1-meter. As, of course, taking just a little bit of time here to let the swimmers re-warm up. It's honestly almost impressive to me watching the divers warm up and not jumping off the diving board. Now there they obviously go, and a nice spin into a dive that time. Said I can't really get an idea of who it is down there. They don't have anything on the boards as to who's going. They just have a number of the diver, but they quite have that list, unfortunately. But it's almost more impressive when they go and jump and stay on the board in that case to keep your balance when you're jumping that high. Don't know how you do it. Some of these other coaching staffs here. Of course, assistant coach John Funk. He been around for a while. He's the assistant coach here at Bucknell since June 2018, and he came to Bucknell from TCU, where he was an assistant coach in August of 2014 to 2018, and he was a graduate assistant as well. He worked with the breaststroke, butterfly groups there, so he's, of course, been a big help here. He also helped plan a lot of the alumni events, which, you know, you don't think about stuff like that, but that's huge to get the alumni involved, whether it be donors or just increased interest. Definitely big. And he was also a three-time MAC champion himself, and he was a team MVP for Ryder. So, yeah, he went to Ryder, who unfortunately just beat the Bison in basketball a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month now, so you hate to see that, but he was quite a swimmer for the Bronx. Rounding out that Bucknell coaching staff, as we said, Coach Carter, Errol Carter. He was the 2019, 2012, and 2013 diving coach of the year in the Patriot League. And he also graduated from UConn, where he was a diver on the team there for 4 years. He was a four-year letter winner as a diver. He advanced to the Big East Finals off the 3-meter board as a junior and sophomore. And he was a conference finalist off the 1-meter board in 93, 94. He helped his team win the first New England championship in 94, 95 when he placed 5th on both boards, which was huge for that UConn Huskies team. And of course, he's done quite a great job here. Does quite a great job here. He's been his 22nd season now as the head coach of the Bison men and women's diving programs here. So he's stuck around quite a while here. Seen some success as well. As we said, when we come out of this little break here, we will move into the 100-yard freestyle. So we're going to take a quick break here from the pool. Keep the crowd mic on for you and be back on here in just a minute or so while I gather my thoughts. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We have a nice conclusion. We're going to have the 100-yard freestyle for both coming up. Then the 200-yard backstroke is on deck. And then the 200-yard breaststroke is in the hole for the men's and women's. So make sure you stick around. We have a lot of interesting events to come up and some really good swimmers in the pool here in this Patriot League dual meet in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And the Bison have broken their team huddle here. So we'll come back to the action. Still going to check out that diving side of things here. So tuning in. Check out that here. Still getting ready to go in the main pool here at Kenny Natorium. Of course, you can see there the swimming and diving records in the background. Of course, a couple of current team members that are on these lists. Alex Crossing, who we saw a little bit earlier, twist for Bucknell. Kopak, of course, he's the 200-yard freestyle leader. Leo Coyle. He was also in there. DeSanto has the second best time in the Patriot League Championships last year as well. Another Bucknell swimmer there. DeSanto tops in the 50. On the men's side of things, Kopak is all over the board and getting his name on these lists in their top 10s all time. When you look at I always find it very interesting, being that the Pennsylvania State Championships are held here in Kenny Natorium. So a lot of these pool records, some of them obviously are held by Bucknell swimmers, but a lot of them are held by, some crazy high school times. I believe her name was Sydney Robb, maybe it was Sophie, I can't remember. But right around when I graduated high school in 2014, she was here in 2012, and she set 2 pool records in the 100 free and the 200 free. So that's a big one as well. So I always find that a little bit interesting on the women's side of things. On the men's, there's definitely a little bit more Bucknell, but nonetheless, always impressive to see what a setup Bucknell does and how kind of alive the community comes when they do hold the state championships for swimming here. I really don't hear too many people talk badly of it. It's always a fun time, and of course, if you're a Lewisburg swimmer, definitely a great thing. Of course, Coach Mason Wooderman leading the Green Dragons, who had quite a few good swimmers in their day. Of course, Coach Colin Hummel, who we discussed earlier, a 2-time Division II All-American, one of them. But they've had their fair share of success, and of course, Lewisburg is lucky, though. They do get to swim in this beautiful complex here that Bucknell's. I believe they put it in about around 2000 or so. I don't have the exact date. They held the Water Polo National Championships here in I believe it was 2003. Yeah, I was about 7 years old at the time. That was kind of where I got into the water polo situation. It was very interesting. Not a big sport, of course, in the central Susquehanna Valley, but you hear the crowd getting back into it, don't you, folks? It's good. You can stop listening to me talk, and we get to see the action here as we are now up to the next event being the, I think it's the women's 100 free. Women's 100 free. Clara Williams, one of the top swimmers on this team, will be in this event for Army. She's been exceptional all year. Megan Cole, we just saw a little bit ago, but they've both had to, at least Williams, I believe, won an event earlier on, and then Kyla Kelly for Bucknell also finishing in the top 3 earlier on as well. She had a pretty decent run in that 50. Of course, in the women's event here, the 100-yard free, it'll two people to watch out for, as we said, Sarah Ketron and Kyla Kelly. Kelly, 50.98. She's the 9th best time in Bucknell history in swimming, which just happened at the Bucknell Invitational. On the 24th of November. I don't even know what day it is, but a month and a half ago or so. And then we also mustn't forget about Sarah Ketron, who did it on the same day as well, as she got a 50.89. Program record is 50.01 for Bucknell, so don't know if we're going to be seeing that today, be a blistering pace for sure. However, see what happens here. In lane 1 for Bucknell, Piacentino. Lane 2, Wagner of Army. Lane 3, Ketron of Bucknell. Lane 4, Clara Williams of Army. Lane 5, Kyla Kelly of Bucknell. Lane 6, Megan Cole of Army. Lane 7, Virginia Hastings of Bucknell. And lane 8, Tiana Mesher of Army. So we'll have a full board here, if you will. Coach Schinnerer and crew look on the far side. Coach Brandt. And of course, making the trip down from West Point. Well, I don't know if it was today or tomorrow. I shouldn't lie. I don't know that for sure, but making the trip down and definitely out in front here in this one thus far. And they're off here in the 100-yard free. Off to a pretty good pace here. It's pretty even now. The 2, 3, and 4 lanes look to be the closest to one another. Now it looks like it's 3, 4, 5. So that'll be Ketron for Bucknell, Williams of Army, and Kelly of Bucknell. And it's going to come down to it. It looks like it's going to be Kelly who gets a nice turn there, and they're going to come down to their last 2 touches. So Kelly with a nice turn. She's just out in front. And I mean just out in front. It might depend on the touch of the wall. But it's still Ketron, Williams, and Kelly. And it looks like pulling away now for Army is going to be Clara Williams. It'll be a 2 and a 3 for Bucknell. It's close. Out in the 7 lane out there for Army that was for Bucknell, was Hastings. And Hastings of Bucknell actually comes from behind to sneak a 2nd place. So it'll go Williams, Hastings, and Kelly. And then Ketron getting 4th for Bucknell. And Piacentino getting 5th, and it was Mesher, Cole, and Wagner rounding it out for the Black Knights. So a good race there. Great job by Clara Williams. She kind of just pulled away from the sophomore Sarah Ketron and Kyla Kelly. And Ketron was out in front, the sophomore for Bucknell, a while, and then out of nowhere, her classmate Virginia Hastings snagging the 2nd place there. So great job by Hastings to keep working. And they're off here in the 100 free. Go over the lanes. It's Chapas of Bucknell, Wang, Zartareski of Bucknell, then Rankin, then Smith of Bucknell, then Chang of Army, then Green of Bucknell, and Riley of Army. It's pretty even up here thus far. Taking the early lead here until we move back down again. He's in the 4 lane. That's Cohen Rankin. Cohen Rankin, who of course won a little bit earlier on. Not one of the guys who's usually up there at the top of this event. Doesn't have a top 10 time. A couple players in the team do, but he's leading it here for Army. Bucknell looks like they will get a second or a third here. It's going to be close from the 1 through 4. Rankin will easily get first at 23.90. Chang will get second for Army, and then Smith will get third for Bucknell, and Zartareski will get fourth for Bucknell. So a nice time that time in the 100 free. Winning it. 45.67 was that final time, which doesn't quite break into the top 10 here for a pretty storied Army West Point program, but a nice run for sure by Cohen Rankin. Also a good job by Smith of Bucknell as well, who at least got some points up there for the Bison. See here if we can try to find a way to update the team score. But we're going to move on to our next event, which is the women's 200-yard backstroke. So a little bit longer of a backstroke here. And of course, Bucknell's men come in at 3-2. The women come in at 4-1. The men, the only loss that the men had, the women didn't, was of course the women beat Boston University, and Bucknell, the men, lost by just 17 points to them in their tie, as we are actually going to have a trial here. Should have picked that up. It's actually William Harpster for Bucknell. 23-01 split there. Once again, the lone man in the pool here. Harpster, of course, the freshman from Bucknell. And Harpster is going to finish it at 48.08. So a good 100-yard free there. Not going to break the top 10 by any means, but solid run there. And now we're going to head to the 200-yard backstroke. As I previously stated, I jumped the gun a bit last time, but we're there now. It'll be in lane 1, Wiki of Bucknell, lane 3, Burns, lane 4, Hart, lane 5 of Army, lane 5, Bugle of Bucknell, lane 6, McMullen of Army, Feld of Bucknell in lane 7, and in lane 8, it'll be Angie McCain of Army. As of course, starting in the pool here, with the backstroke impending. It'll be 200 yards to separate the winner here. Just 5 swimmers in the pool. Luckily, you can see the one swimmer here on the near side in lane 1, of course, Luecki of Bucknell. Pretty even up early on here. It looks like no one really wanting to set the pace too crazy. It'll be Burns of Bucknell leading it, Bugle in second as they make their turn, and third is Hart of Army. And that's, of course, in the 3, 4, 5 lanes. So right in the middle of your screen, but also coming out pretty well here is Luecki of Bucknell in this near lane as well. In the 8 lane is McCain of Army. She's holding her own out there as well. It's all pretty close across the board here in the women's 200-yard back. As we make another turn and move back down the way. Burns of Bucknell kind of picking things up a little bit here. No top 10s on this. Emma Feld actually does have a top 10 in this event for Bucknell. Feld, of course, racing in a couple races ago. Is now taking over the lead will be Jenna Hart of Army, and chasing her will be Burns, the freshman, and Bugle, the sophomore of Bucknell. As they get to their turn here. And we're down to it, Jenna Hart, and it's going to be close. Burns trying to make up ground. Burns, it's going to be close here when they get to the wall, and it's Burns at the buzzer. just getting her arm out in front. 14/10 of a second before Hart, so it'll go Burns, Hart, Bugle. An excellent race in the women's 200 back that time. Coming down to the wire, the winning time, 2:05, 25 seconds would have been crazy. 2:05.23. Second place, 2:05.37 for Edwards. So an excellent race from Burns that time for Bucknell. And her time Burns of Bucknell finished at 2:05.23, which doesn't, let's see here, doesn't quite get her into the record books for the Bison. Pretty close though. It was a good run though. And now we'll move to the men's 200-yard back. Of course, not exactly a sprint by any means, more a middle distance, if you will, but an excellent race there from the Bucknell freshman. Certainly can't tell she's a freshman today. And they're off here in the 200 back. In lane 1, it'll be Ferguson of Bucknell. Lane 2, Leith of Army. Lane 3, Kubiak of Bucknell. Lane 4, Edwards of Army. Lane 5, Braden Beagle of Bucknell. Lane 6, Thomas Hadji of Army. Lane 7, Avery Kuhn. We will have a trial, if you will, after this as well between two Bucknell swimmers. And out early on here, it'll be in the 1 and 2 spot. Appears to be Army in the 200 back thus far. Looks like it's Edwards, of course, leading the way, and then Thomas Hadji, the sophomore, on that 6th lane. See him down the way. Close for third. It's between, see here, once they get to the wall and make their turn. Currently, the third is Braden Beagle of Bucknell, but just behind him, 0.01 behind him, is Leith of Army. So Bucknell's going to have to pick it up a little bit if they want to not get swept here by the Black Knights in this event. Oh, getting very close to the ropes that time. Not exactly a straight look of it for Edwards, so he lost a little bit of time, but not a lot, and he's going to make his final turn here as this Edwards. See if Bucknell, they made up a little bit of ground there on the turn. Oh, an excellent turn, actually, in the 5 spot there for Bucknell. Coming out of it is Braden Beagle, and he's in second now for the Bison. In third, up in lane number 6 for Army, is Thomas Hadji, the sophomore. Now Hadji taking over second place. It's going to be close though there. Looks like Hadji's going to have him by a bit. Looks like Army's going to take 2 out of the top 3 here, 1 and 2. It'll be Edwards at 151.31, Hadji at 151.62, and Beagle at 152.10. Army with the had some pretty crazy times in their history in this 200-yard back. Zach Leith, one of the men who just went. He had a time of 1:44.12. Alex Edwards also just got the win there, was 1:44.30. Those kind of round out the top 10. Those were both last year, however, not this year. So that is something to note, of course. But we'll have 2 trialists here. It's going to be, excuse my pronunciation here, but it's going to be Bityuski and Hagedorn, a junior and a freshman respectively, here in the 200-yard back. It's heat number 2, just a trial, if you will. try to get you the actual score here. Nothing on the scoreboard here excuse me, but anyway, try to get this downloaded. Don't forget to download the Meet mobile app if you want to check into the scores and such. Let's see here. No score available on that app yet, unfortunately. As we're almost done here with the 200 backstroke, just the second heat. Trial period here. Course swimming for Bucknell, Bitewski and Hagedorn. And they end up there at 158 and 159. 158 for Hagedorn, 159 for Bitewski. As we will now move on to the next event here, which is the women's 200-yard breaststroke. You're going to see Stallmeyer in lane 1 for Bucknell, Park in lane 2 for Army, Bingley in lane 3 for Bucknell. In lane 4 for Army will be Gilmore. Lane 5, Sydney G for Bucknell. Lane 6, Lorson of Army. Lane 7, Byrne of Bucknell. And lane 8 will be Dudley of Army. There'll be no prelim or anything after this one, or it should be a trial after this one. And they're off here in the women's 200-yard breaststroke. Still not able to find a score for you yet. I'll see if I can get one eventually here. But of course, Army, I believe, leading on both sides of things. Probably something that, you know, you're a Patriot League swimming fan, you would have expected today, especially considering the implication that this Army, especially on the women's and men's side of things, just swept the United States Naval Academy. I think they're pretty good at swimming over there. So obviously an impressive crew here, but if you're Bucknell, you've seen a lot of good performances today. That was a huge win for Burns in the 200 back just a couple moments ago, but leading it so far for Army in lane number 4, probably no surprise, Catriona Gilmore. And she's out in front by about a half body length or so here in second place. That's in lane number 5 for Bucknell, which is going to be Sydney G. And then for Bucknell, Hannah Bingley having a pretty good run of it. She appears to be in 3rd place. Of course, that's barring how quickly she touches that wall when she gets down here to her split, back to home, if you will. But Bucknell does have 2 of the top 3 right now, and also a nice run in this near lane is Stallmeyer for Bucknell. Once again, I kind of forget she's there because all the Bucknell swimmers are obviously standing right here on the thing, which is nothing wrong with that, but almost forget that lane 1's open half the time. She's having a nice little run though too. Behind the pack a bit, but sitting in about 4th place. Also in the 8 spot for Bucknell, for Army is Corey Dudley, and she's had a pretty good run on that far side. She's pretty much tied for 4th at this point, I would say. As we're heading back home here, and it looks like it's going to be an easy win, and it is for Army's Catriona Gilmore. Coming in second will be Sydney G for Bucknell, however, though, and then in 3rd will be Byrne for Bucknell. So Bucknell taking 2 out of the top 3. Actually, Bucknell taking 4 out of the top 5. You got Byrne in 3rd, Stallmeyer in 5th, Dokina in 4th, and then 6 is Larson and Dudley finishing the way for Army in lane 8. Actually, Dudley didn't go, it looks like, so there was no lane 8 over there, and they were in late scratch or something of that nature. So a well-run race yet again there by Catriona Gilmore. And we're off here in the 200 breast for the men's. Cohen Rankin, who actually is in this race in, actually no, he's not racing today. Oh no, he's not racing in the 200 breast. He's actually the current leader in the 200 breast with a 1:54.22 time. He has the all-time record for the Black Knights. Just happened here in 2024. And so far in lane number 4 for the Black Knights, it's Durkin. Only 4 swimmers in the pool, of course, here. It's Lombardi for Bucknell, then Durkin of Army, then Hedges of Bucknell, then Bigham of Army. And leading it right now is Durkin of Army in lane number 4. Second place certainly looks to be Hedges of Bucknell, and third place Lombardi of Bucknell. And rounding it out will be Bigham of Army. And of course our on-deck race is the women's 500-yard freestyle, where you're going to see Bucknell, one of their best swimmers, just a freshman, but she's going to have a chance in the 500 free. And we're coming down to it here, and it looks like Bucknell is going to one more pass, I suppose. Lost my count. But Bucknell taking a lead here in lane number 3. Lane number 3, of course, being James Lombardi. He's leading the way here, though, in the 200 breast so far. He's really picked up a lot of ground on Durkin here, and Bucknell might even slide second. It's Will Hedges out at second. That's really where the fight's for. It's going to be at the wall. It'll be Lombardi, Hedges, and Durkin. So the Bucknell men winning 2 out of the top 3 there. First and second place for the Bison. Bigham comes in 4th. 2:06.07 for Lombardi is the winning number. So a nice race there by Lombardi, who holds the 7th best time in Bucknell history in the 200-yard breaststroke already. Of course, that was at that Patriot League Championships last year, where he got just over 2 minutes at 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Bucknell, a lot of their top times in the 200 breast have come from these last couple years. You got Will Hedges, who's tied for the 200-yard breast, then Andy Dorsal and John Gehring, all happened just last year. Andy Dorsal still on the squad, of course, and Lombardi. So we'll move along here to the 500 free, and as we said, we get to watch Clara Renner for Bucknell, who, I mean, in just this event, just a little bit ago, in the 500 free, she got 6th in the A finals at the Toyota US Open. And for Army, of course, we're going to have to worry about the likes of Bridget O'Shaughnessy, Molly Weber. We'll go by lane, though. It'll be Peterson in lane 1, Detman in lane 3, Weber in lane 4 for Army. Lane 5 will be Renner for Bucknell. That's the one to probably watch. O'Shaughnessy will be in lane 6 for Army, Giles in lane 7, and Campbell, Payton in lane 8 for Army. They're off here in the 500 free. Pretty close early on, not really easy enough to make a determination here. It does look like Renner for Bucknell is up near the top. Of course, in this case, you do see a lot more of a pace involved in the whole situation, if you will. But it is Renner for Bucknell, and then in second place currently, holding it for Army, is Molly Weber. Still Renner. Third place is in lane number 3 for the Bison. It is a close race for third place, however. But in lane number 3, it is Sydney Detman. See where they get to at the wall here. It is Giles actually slides her way in at number 3, then Detman in at 4. It goes Renner, Weber, Giles, and Detman for the Bison. And of course, Weber being from the Black Knights. Lap number 6 now. As they make their way back down towards the far side of the pool here. Pretty much neck and neck for that 1 and 2 position and for the 3 and 4 spots as well. However, for Bucknell, you're happy to see it because for that 3 and 4 spot, you have 2 Bison battling over it. And for the 1 and 2, you have a Bison versus a Black Knight. So kind of a nice situation for Bucknell. They're working out well so far. We're going to be going back down to lap number 9 once they make their turn. See who comes out on top here. Weber did hit the wall first over Renner. So Weber will have the lead here heading into lap number 9. Yeah, I mean, they're both really just pacing each other here. Looks like Renner is mostly turning to her far side with her eyes and her head there to get her breaths in. So, you know, she's only going to be able to see where Weber is when they're going towards that far side of the situation here. Obviously, when they're going back towards, from my right to left, towards the starting block, she's turning to the far outside. So she's not going to really be able to see the person, the swimmer next to her, of course, being Weber. Weber appears to be breathing on both sides of the situation, though. So she can kind of look either way. But they are the shoe-ins for, as we head to lap 13, for 1 and 2 on that very, very far lane. Lane number 7 is Giles for Bucknell, who's still handily in 3rd place here. She's fighting with Detman of Bucknell for that spot. And of course, in the 500-yard freestyle, Clara Renner, already as a freshman, owns the 3rd best time in Bucknell history at 4:48.55. That was at that Bucknell Invitational. It was said about a month and a half ago. That was on day 1. So, you know, she wasn't even really in the big races, and still being out to put out a time like that is something else. As we move along, we're heading towards pass number 17. As Renner is going toe-to-toe, or maybe finger-to-finger in this case, with Molly Weber. It's a freshman versus a junior here for first place, and Renner having a good run here as we get towards these later laps. Coach Hummel and company, Coach Schinnerer, willing the crowd on, and we're on to the last lap here in the 500 free. Renner takes the lead, but only by 1/10 of a second. And it's going to be a real dogfight here. It's Renner versus Weber. They're neck and neck so far. And it'll maybe depend on the turn here, who can stay submerged the longest, and they come up at the exact same time. And here we go, we're into the final half length. Renner versus Webster. Who gets to the wall first? And it's coming down to the wire. Renner, 4:56.83, taking it just over Weber, who's at 4:57.15, and an excellent split that time from Renner, winning by 0.2 of a second over Weber. And coming in 3rd is now Giles for Bucknell, up in the 7 lane. So Bucknell gets 2 out of the top 3, and they get the 4th place, and Detman as well. So great job for the Bison that time, then. Bucknell will have, once again, they're going to have 3 of the top 4 performers in the race. That was a fun one there, and you had to think so, considering Weber and Renner. I mean, Renner, we all know, if you've watched anything this year, Bucknell swimming, she's been, is a candidate for Patriot League Rookie of the Year, Freshman of the Year, in the swimming department. So that's something that, to look out for. If Bucknell can keep Renner for 4 years, the Patriot League might be on notice, especially in these longer distance races. She didn't even look like broke a sweat. Now we'll move to the men's 500 free. And they're off here.
give you the lane situation here. It'll be Sweetser for Bucknell in lane 1, then Glover in lane 2 for Army. William Shoemaker in lane 3 for Bucknell. Jack Pogue in lane 4 for Army. Chris Kopak in lane 5 for Bucknell. Max Jordan in lane 6 for Army. Finn Franks in lane 7 for Bucknell. And Max Peterson in lane 8 for Army. No one really distancing themselves in the pack thus far. I guess no point when you have to swim up and back so many times. "20 laps here." That was number 5. It's Peterson in lane 8 for Army, who's actually leading the way right now. Then comes Jordan in lane 6, Kopak in lane 5, and Shoemaker in lane 3. So pretty good bout thus far. Everyone, like we said, I mean, you can kind of see you have 2 different packs in this case. Interesting to see Peterson out in that 8 lane. I mean, he is getting after it for the Black Knights there. In the 500 free, two players on this team, swimmers on this team actually on this list, maybe even 3. Tansel in 2024, Bernauer in 2024, Wes Tate in 2024, and Bryce Barriol. Those, of course, could have been people who graduated last year, but nonetheless, some performers from the last 2 years still up in this top 10 for Army. But right now, it's easily Peterson. Peterson, about, call it a half body length out in front currently. That was lap number 11. Making his way is Pogue as well, and Pogue might be able to overtake Peterson on this next run. But now they're really starting to distance themselves, almost a full length between first, second, and third and fourth. And Bucknell not faring too well. It's just Kopak who's up there. But this could be a clean sweep for the Black Knights if things stay the way they are. Of course, still plenty of laps to go. That was just number 13, so still plenty of time left. But Bucknell's going to have to make up some ground here. Wow, a blistering pace from Pogue here in lane number 4 for Army. He's jumped out in front even of his teammate Peterson. And they're going to head back for pass number 17. We'll have another up and back. And it's still Pogue easily out in front of everyone. I mean, he could be a 5-second winner here. You see that some of the Army players on the far side there trying to will him forward. This is going to be quite a time here, it looks like, for Pogue, as he's on to his last one. And in second place, it looks like it's also going to be Jordan of Army. They could get the top 3 here. They're certainly going to get the top 3 here. And it's going to be an easy win for Pogue of Army as he wins it at 4:36.56. Second place will be Jordan at 4:39.11. Third will be Peterson at 4:39.58. So Bucknell has Kopak coming fourth, but Army takes the top 3. So kind of a little bit the opposite of what just happened for Bucknell there last time out, but Army doing a great job in the distance freestyle that time. Now we're going to move to the women's 100-yard butterfly, where Bucknell will lead it off in lane number 1 with Camper Lengo. Then in lane 2, it'll be Hadley King for Army. Lane 3 will be Sunderhoff of Bucknell. Lane 4, Brager of Army. Lane 5, Keatron of Bucknell. Lane 6, Cora Weber of Army. Lane 7, Sam Benzija of Bucknell. And in lane 8 will be Ella Gross of Army. So we're into the 100-yard butterfly. Don't have too much time to give background information here, but as they get ready to go, of course, the all-time leader in the butterfly in this top 6 list, that's Sam Benzija. She actually just got it once again a month and a half ago at the Bucknell Invitational on day 2. She had 55.64 for the 100-yard butterfly, so maybe looking to improve on that, find her way up the list yet again on this Bucknell all-time times. And off to a good start, rather unsurprisingly, Cindy Brager of Army. But also unsurprisingly, keeping up is Keatron of Bucknell, as well as Benzija. But also on a nice run on that far is McCain. McCain, who we just saw earlier, performed very, very well a couple of races ago. Although McCain must be a new swimmer, because originally that was listed as Ella Gross, but now it's McCain up there for the Black Knights, and we're coming down to it here. And it'll be McCain wins it in the 8 lane. He wasn't even listed initially. So McCain's going to get the win. Brager's going to get second. And Benzija's going to get third. And with her time of 57.85, just missing the list by about a second there. And now we'll move along to the men's 100-yard fly, where you'll be looking for Johnny Crush. First of all, awesome name, Johnny Crush. But either way, he already won an event rather easily earlier. And also, we discussed how he was the men's swimmer of the week. He set the program record in the 100 back, the 200 back record as well. So, he's had himself a pretty good 10 to 12 days. And he's off now for the Black Knights in a blistering pace here in the 100-yard fly. It's going to be Park for Bucknell, Harlow for Army, Wynn for Bucknell, Crush for Army in lane 4, Russell Finn for Bucknell, and then Mowry in lane 6, DeSanto in lane 7, and Kling in lane 8. And leading the way early on is Johnny Crush. Crush just emerging from the water that time, somehow a full body length out in front of everyone. When he left, he was maybe a half, but look at that extra time under the water. Being able to hold your breath that long, he is not coming out of the water until halfway down. 12.5 meters, if you will, or yards, I suppose, and he's going to win it easily with a time of 48.79. He already holds the all-time record in the 100-yard backstroke. See where he is here. The 100-yard fly. Not on the list, but that time is just going to miss him there by less than 0.3 of a second. So almost making it into their top 10. But a great race that time by, yet again, Johnny Crush. That guy's something else. He's got 2 wins now for Army. Excellent dive there on that far side. Once again, couldn't get a name for you there, too far down. Can't really even see what team it is, but wow, that was impressive nonetheless. Looks like it might have been a Bucknell diver, though. Looks blue. I'm a wee bit colorblind sometimes, so. They're going to head to the 3-meter dive over there, and it looks like we're going to take just a quick break here for the last couple events here in this one. We, of course, still have the 400-yard IM, the men's and women's side. There will be 2 heats of the men's 400-yard IM. Then we will do the women's 200-yard freestyle relay, and then we'll have the men's 200-yard freestyle relay, and unfortunately, we'll be done with things here. So you can stick around. You can check out the diving here. Going to take a quick break to get my voice back, but thanks for listening here to this Patriot League dual meet on YouTube here in Kinney Natatorium. And we're back here from Kinney Natatorium, where we will move on here to the women's 400 IM coming up here pretty soon. Just a little break in between, of course, but thus far, of course, don't quite have the team score in for you yet. I'm trying to find it here, but don't see it anywhere down on the platform as well, the pool platform, if you will. So don't have quite a score for you yet, but seems like Army probably leading in both ways. course, to said event number 29 will be the next one. Right now, going along on the other side is, of course, the 3-meter diving, the men's and the women's. Over there in flight 1 of the women, it's going to be Megan Catherwood of Bucknell, Annalise Enters of Bucknell, Regina Frias of Bucknell, and Gina Hinthorn. And then Natalie Penman will go for Bucknell as well. And the men will be Trug for Bucknell, Thurston for Bucknell, and Avina Rubb for Bucknell as well. Interesting, no Army divers there over the 3-meter. As the teams break their respective huddles here for the, I guess you could call it the third stanza, if you will, here after our short little intermission there of things. And yeah, weirdly enough, in any of all the diving pretty much looks like only just Bucknell divers listed there, so nothing coming in from Army. Once again, can't quite see, not great at deciphering my blues and black down there, so you can't quite tell exactly who's up and running right now, but they are on the 3-meter down there, and wow. Army does have a diver up now. I have a feeling that, obviously being not a huge swimmer, definitely a big area for swimming, just personally not as big into it. I feel like being a judge of those diving situations, just so many little things that could go wrong, and that was excellent there. Barely a splash by the Army diver. As Bucknell will now have a diver hop up for the 3-meter. Or should be still for the 1-meter. The men, I believe, will be starting up on that 3-meter pretty soon. They kind of go to their own tune down there. Great job there by the Bucknell diver as well. You can hear the claps from the home crowd. You see there, getting ready to go off the 3-meter. Wow. I feel like if I was a judge, they'd all get perfect scores every time. No one would ever win. But as we said, we're getting ready here for the women's 400 IM coming up here. In Bucknell history, they've had some pretty good individual medleyers, if you will. One of them being already just a couple months into her tenure here in the Central Susquehanna Valley, is Clara Renner. Clara Renner, she is the second best time all time in the 400 IM. She's got a 4:18.84. That was at the Bucknell Invitational Day 2 just a month and a half ago. So a lot of big times here, for these Bucknell swimmers of the Bucknell Invite. As Coach was saying, Coach Schinnerer was saying to me on the phone the other day, there are certain meets where, you're going to see a lot of those records, obviously kind of your penultimate meets, the things that you're building up to. And the Bucknell Invite is certainly one of those meets. And Bucknell, of course, did have a home quad meet earlier this year as well. On the 9th, Clara Renner figured it out that in the 200-yard IM, so she's already in the top 10 there as well. Not quite second like she was in the 400, however. Still up that leaderboard, and wow. Crowd going crazy after that one down there. We're getting ready here. Of course, all the swimmers got to get themselves ready to go. But we will be ready for the 400 IM next, and after that, 400 IM on deck. Well, of course, the men's 400 IM, and then the trials will be after that. But either way, then the 200-yard freestyle relay, which see some pretty solid times in there. Of course, you got Williams, McCain, Cole, and Weber. That tandem for Army, that could be quite a time right there. A freshman, 2 seniors, and a junior, they've all performed well today thus far, so that wouldn't surprise me to see them do really well. Then Bucknell, you have Sarah Ketron, Virginia Hastings, Ashley Piacentino, and Riley Giles, who Giles performed very well earlier. She came back and got a 3rd place in the race earlier on. Ketron as well, and Virginia Hastings. So could be a pretty good finish. Here as we're waiting for the 1 meter board to go. Marianne, the current diver, they do have a name up on the board now, which is going to be helpful to me personally. Bucknell diver on the 1 meter now. Beauty. That gets the whole pool going there. They're starting to make their call-outs here, so we should be getting back into the pool here. Well, I guess should be getting back into the pool and getting things going with the individual medley here pretty soon. And have Renner and company getting ready out there. Love how quickly the flow is of the diving. On that far side, everything just going through so quickly as we are, as we said, the women's 1 meter championships is going on currently. So. Whew. Some balance there. Now off the 3 meter board. Oh. Wow, it's just acrobatics really at that point. To be able to, and I remember from the Olympics a couple years ago when Simone Biles got, I believe they called it the twisties, the gymnastics equivalent of kind of not knowing where you were. I feel like it'd be so easy to get that there off of the, especially the 3 meter board. But they're just so aware of where every square inch of their body is at every time. And to be able to do that and barely splash anything, to me, it's very, very impressive. And also to just keep going at the same time, too. I mean, look here. I mean, it is just so fast here on both sides, whether it be Army or Bucknell going. This is now an Army diver. As he readies himself. Wow. That's a big high, too. I'm surprised he doesn't play defensive line on the Army football team. Those, he got really, really big quads and hamstrings, but an impressive job there, especially as a big dude. Wow. I might just say wow for every one of these folks, as we know. But really something else down there from the diving side of things. Coach Carter and company doing a great job. And of course, as we briefly talked about earlier, in head diving coach for Army. Pull that name back up, but they've done an amazing job so far down there. Adds a lot to the broadcast too, especially with there needing to be breaks in between events to get people back into the pool, get them loosened up and such. It's really big. I went to a Division III college where we did not have diving, and I think this would definitely add a lot more to the gym. I mean, right now during this time, you have all these people sitting here, and hey, they're looking over at the diving rather than just sitting and watching people warm up in the pool. So I think that's a big thing. It's always good, of course. That depends if you have a diving program or not, but Gettysburg did not, so great to see it here at Bucknell. And of course, water polo as well, as we said here for Bucknell. Bucknell's head men's water polo coach just actually helped out with Team USA last Olympics as well. It was fun to follow here as a Lewisburger myself to see that. One of our own, if you will. Supporting our country at the Olympics was really something else. The names of some of these dives are even very, very petrifying. An inward 1.5 Sam's tuck. That's what they have on the board down there right now. Can't see him on the far side of things, but that Army team over there supporting their divers. Pretty much about half the team is down there watching them now. Same with Bucknell. As the divers have cleared their platforms there, they're shaking hands on the far side. I feel like that's just a game, respect game type situation there. You get beat a lot of times. It's not necessarily because you got beat, but just because someone did better. Not because you beat yourself, because somebody beat you. And see there how that one ends up churning out for things. As we said, don't really necessarily have a way of letting you know where we're at here scoring-wise right now that I can see. But I would say Army leading by a little bit here in the women's side. Probably a little bit more on the men's side just because they have a couple sweeps of events. They actually just got one of those sweeps in the 500 free a bit ago. As these swimmers are making their way to the platform, we've got the noise back in the building here. Anticipation from the crowd, of course. Bucknell side of things. To my left, I'm about midway into the pool here in the first row. A bird's eye view. Almost have the same view as the lifeguard here. But it all comes down to these last couple events here in this big, big dual meet in Kinney Natatorium here. It's Patriot League matchup. Army, the women, certainly after beating Navy, are probably going to be the favorites, I suppose, in the conference. And Bucknell barely losing out to Navy, only losing by, oh gosh, let me get that final score for you there. Didn't lose by too many to the mids. Listen to the crowd here. It's the crowd getting into it along with those Bucknell swimmers right down in front of us. You can see them there from your wide view. But let's go over here. We have the IM coming up now. Let's get you everybody and what lanes everyone's in. So it'll be in lane 1, Sky Sunderhoff for Bucknell. Lane 2, Maggie Croning of Army. Lane 3, Kelly Byrne of Bucknell. Lane 4, Catriona Gilmore. She just got a win just a little bit ago. Clara Renner in lane 5 for Bucknell. Lane 6 is Mary Chandler for Army. She also got a top 3 earlier, and Kyla Kelly for Bucknell, along with her, also got a top 3. That'll be Avery Lord in lane 8. But yeah, the IM, I mean, I guess you're always kind of looking at the 4 and 5 lanes, if you will, but you're certainly looking here at Clara Renner for Bucknell, who, as we said in the 400 IM, holds the second best time in program history. The first best time, Maggie Wingowski, she got it in 2020. She has 3 seconds of separation between her and Clara Renner. So rest assured, Maggie, you'll probably be okay today, but down the road, I don't know, with this sensational freshman for Bucknell. And they're off here from Kinney Natatorium. Diving is done on the far side, so everyone's attention now in the pool for the 400 IM. Pretty much even keel here by everyone thus far. No one really separating themselves from the pack. Touching the wall first will be Renner, of course, for Bucknell. Then Sunderhoff actually in the second spot. Gilmore in the 4-hole all the way back to 5th, but she was only out by about a 10th of a second, so a little bit of time to make that up yet, nonetheless. Of course, we'll be going 100 meters of each. I guess it is yards. 100 yards of each. Renner still appears to be in the lead for Bucknell. She does get to the wall first. She's got a 31.77 split, which is the fastest by nearly a second and a quarter out there. So a blistering pace being set by Claire Renner, and now they're into the backstroke, which one of her better events, most certainly as well. Slow pace during the backstroke situation, but Renner still somehow managing to pull away from the crowd here. Closest to her, she hits the wall at 135.48, 34.99 split. Only Byrne of Bucknell's was quicker at 34.87. She's in 4th. Second will be Croning, and 3rd will be Sunderhoff. As we head to the last 2 sections of our backstroke section of the IM. And Renner is pulling out to quite a lead here. And she turns. And wow, out in front over her teammate here by Sunderhoff by maybe a full body length, and Army coming close in 3rd in lane number 4, which, as we said earlier, was Catriona Gilmore. And then lane number 6, Mary Chandler doing well as well for Bucknell, and Kyla Kelly. So it's going to be a battle here for 3rd place now between two Army swimmers. It'll be in lane 2. That's Cronin. And in lane 4 is Gilmore. So they're both pretty close. Currently holding 2nd place is Byrne of Bucknell. Sunderhoff is in 3rd. and Renner is still in first, as you can see, by quite a distance. Renner not losing any time on her turn there, as you can imagine she generally does not. But she's out by a full body length now in front of her teammate Byrne, as the crowd really getting after it here, as she is on pace for quite a good time here. It's 38.07 there with her sprint, and now we're on to the freestyle 100 portion of things. As Renner out and after it, Byrne out and after it as well. She's being chased for third place in lane number 4 by Catriona Gilmore, but it's looking like it's going to be at least Bucknell in the 1 and 2 spots here unless something drastic occurs. But it's going to definitely be Clara Renner. Clara Renner has opened up nearly a 3 body length advantage on the competition here. The Bucknell freshman just showing off. She's got almost a quarter of a pool out in front of her, and now trying to catch up here is Byrne. She's out in front, trying to catch her is going to be Croning of Army. We could have quite a race here in the final 25 for number 2, but it's looking like it's going to be Byrne. Byrne is out in front. Trying to catch her here is Croning as the crowd goes crazy. The Bucknell bench in front of us, it's looking like Bucknell is going to finish 1 and 2 in the 400 IM. What a race there. Wow, listen to this crowd. Clara Renner, certainly not her best time ever. Her best time being 4:18. She comes in at 4:27.01, but an excellent second place finish and a huge second place finish for Byrne of Bucknell, who comes in at 4:31.70. And Sunderhoff, who was one of the racers on that one, she also is on that list as well. She has a top 10 in her career for Bucknell in the 400 IM, but Clara Renner could potentially be, I mean, when you look at it here, pretty obvious that it could potentially be one of the best IM swimmers here in Bucknell history. As the Army team waving the flag on the far side, we'll move to the men's side of things as these two teams, as you can hear, are getting very into it, as we're getting pretty close in score here, especially with the women taking 2 out of 3. Great race there, of course, Clara Renner. An easy winner by about 5 seconds. We'll give her 4. But still, 4-second victory. And for the men in the 400 IM, we're gonna, as we said, we have 2 heats here. So it'll be Buena Donna for Bucknell, and Twiss for Bucknell, then Hahn for Army, Andy Dorsal, one to look out for Bucknell, Bryce Barriol, who is one of the best in Army's history in the 400 IM, and then Alex Crossing of Bucknell. Andy Dorsal, of course, already on the list from the Patriot League Championships last year. He has a top 10 in this in his career. A 3:51.78 mark. Of course, you can't do that every day. Of course, I couldn't do that any day. When you go to the 400 IM, I mean, Kevin Hahn is the not only the all-time leader in program records, but he is, Calvin Hahn, not Kevin, is the all-time record and the plebe record as well, which is, of course, their term of freshman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, anybody, if I'm wrong. But into the second passing of the backstroke here. Pretty close here so far. Army's Hahn, unsurprisingly, of course, is leading the way so far. Dorsal for Bucknell is, I would say Dorsal for Bucknell is in third here, and actually in second place for the Bison. Looks like Riley Twiss in the 3 lane here. But he and Dorsal are about even up now as we move to our last pass of the backstroke, and it's Hahn, Dorsal, and Twiss, followed by Barriol, and Buenadata and Crossing. Still, after I read what I read about Kevin Hahn there just a moment ago, kind of obvious, with him being the program record holder and just setting it this year, that a good chance that Calvin Hahn is going to end up being the guy here. In the all-time in the 400 IM, Hahn has the first time. C.J. Bernauer, he might have graduated last year. Looks like he was a senior last year as well with a top time. Sam Wesley in 2024, and Bryce Berrialt did it in 2023. He has a top 10 time. So Bucknell coaching staff trying to get Andy Dorsal going a little bit here, but Bucknell, hey, you might not beat Calvin Hahn for number one. However, you have a very, very good chance here to take 2 out of the top 3 in the 400 IM, at least the way things are going right now, as you have Twist and Dorsal both running very good races for the Bison. And we're in the freestyle portion of things, so we're nearly done. But Hahn, he is setting a blistering pace here. I don't think he's going to set any records due to his unbelievable time last time, but he's going to be pretty darn close. 3:46.19 is the time to beat. He misses it by 5 seconds, 3:51.88. Hahn finishes in first. Now it's a battle between Dorsal and Twist. Dorsal in second, Twist in third. So a nice race there for Bucknell, and that might, let's see here, Dorsal with a 3:57. Dorsal just missing out on a top 10 time there. He already has one, so I'm sure he doesn't care too much, but either way, an excellent race there for Bucknell, taking 2 out of the top 3 in the 400 IM in 2 races here, 2 consecutive in the men's and women's. And now we're going to go to a trial period here. So we'll move as we said here, and in this heat number 2, it'll be Kubiak of Bucknell, Beagle of Bucknell, and Bityutsky of Bucknell. Good start to the relay here. The IM, excuse me. Medley. On deck, we're going to have the 200-yard freestyle relay. Pretty much everybody here about in the same realm, if you will. So both teams performing pretty well here today so far, you'd have to say, considering not a whole bunch of, I wouldn't say really any upsets or anything of that nature in any of these races from what it seems. But Burns winning one for Bucknell earlier, that was a big race. Yeah, so this is going to be a 200-yard freestyle relay. This is going to be a real fun one here for event number 31 coming up. As we said, 3 Bucknell swimmers. In lane 3 will be Kubiak, lane 5 will be Beagle, lane 7 will be Bitutski. As we'll see here, I mean, it's got to be a pretty close matchup here between these two sides. As we said, I don't really have any way to let you know what the score is. I tried to download the app, but it's not giving me anything live, so can't get you too much in that regard. But it's been a good one here in Kinney Natatorium. Certainly not has seen a couple pretty crazy times, I would say. A couple big wins, a couple real close matchups as well. We had a couple come down to the wire. Now you see the women getting set up for their 200-yard freestyle relay. It's going to be really tough to beat the swimmers in lane number 4 for Army. That's Clara Williams, Angie McCain, Megan Cole, Molly Weber. They're all super, super solid swimmers. They've all won events today, I believe, or at least come in the top 2 in their respective events. And see how it ends up coming out here. But definitely going to be a tough one to beat. I believe we're on here to our last run of the freestyle here in the second heat of the 400 IM. Excuse me, we should have one more up and back here. Or no, he is back home at 4:11 for Kubiak. Then Beagle at 4:16. Bitutski finishing now in 3rd in this. So we're going to have a 200-yard freestyle relay coming up in lane number 1. It'll be Camper Lango of Bucknell, Worth, Stallmeyer, Dakina. In lane number 2, it'll be Mesher, Wagner, King, and Breger of Army. In lane number 3, it'll be Burns, Luecki, Benzija, and Bingley of Bucknell. Then Williams, McCain, Cole, and Weber of Army. That's the one to highlight on your boards. Then Keytron, Hastings, Piacentino, and Giles. That's going to be a good one for Bucknell. That's going to probably be their biggest competition. In lane 6, it'll be Hart, Dudley, Payton, and Gross. And it'll be Bugle, Culkin, G, and Detman. And then finally, for Army, Park, Weber, Larson, and O'Shaughnessy. As we get into the swing of things here, early on, out to the early lead. Does look like it is lane number 4. The first swimmer is Williams for Army. But keeping very close behind is Keytron of Bucknell and Burns of Bucknell. So, oh yeah, we have a pretty good matchup here. The top 4 all within about a quarter of a length of one another here. As we're on to the second swimmer for each crew. The second swimmer for Bucknell, Luecki. It's McCain for Army and Hastings for Bucknell, and then Dudley for Army, and they're coming back down to it here, and it looks like Bucknell taking the lead through the second. That's huge for the Bison, but potentially coming back up. An excellent run that time by Megan Cole of Army. She's going up against Benzija, Bucknell, and their turn was almost exactly at the same time. So going back, it is going to be Army taking back the lead with Megan Cole over Benzija. It's going to come down to Riley Gaines versus Molly Weber. And into the pool they go, and Gaines had a nice first jump, and they come up at the exact same time. This one's going to be a rock fight till the end. Gaines, she's going up against Weber of Army. Chance to win it here. Gaines gaining ground. The Bucknell team trying to will her on. It looks like it's going to be Weber. They're to the wall, and Weber wins it. 134.78. Bucknell A team coming in second. Bucknell B team coming in third. So Bucknell once again gets 2 out of the top 3 there. However, the Army A team of Clara Williams, Angie McCain, Megan Cole, and Molly Weber are winners of that one. A huge win for Army, but Bucknell, once again, the A and the B team for Bucknell, not too far behind that Army A team. As we'll move along now to our last event of the meet. The men's 200-yard freestyle relay. It was an excellent race that time. Honestly, if you're Bucknell, you're looking at those splits. It must have been Virginia Hastings of Bucknell must have had a scorchingly fast time because she made up all the time they could. And against an Army 200 freestyle relay team that has some big names on there, and Williams, McCain, Cole, and Weber, Hastings did just enough to take the lead for Bucknell there for a short period of time. However, it was that third run. It was Pia Centino for Bucknell versus Megan Cole. Megan Cole won a sprint earlier today, and she just came out on top in that instance. So, what a good race for Bucknell. It's been a good match so far. And the crowd trying to send off the Bison men in a winning fashion here. Get ready. See lane number 3 getting those arms nice and loose. Don't want to tear a labrum today. The crowd gets into it. We'll go over the lanes now. In lane 1 for Bucknell, it'll be Wynn, Park, Hedges, and Ferguson. In lane 2, it'll be Mowry, Jordan, Crush, and Hadji for Army. In lane 3 for Bucknell, it'll be Green, Zatoriski, Shappas, and Lombardi. In lane 4, it'll be Harlow, Rankin, and Chang. That's the team to look out for in Kling for Army. For Bucknell, it'll be Kopak, Russell, Smith, DeSanto. It'll be Wang, Pogue, Glover, and Barriolt for Army in lane 6. And in lane 7 for Bucknell, it'll be Sweetser, Kuhn, Hagedorn, and Harpster. So, going to have to look out for the Bucknell A and the Army A. It's going to be 4 and 5, of course. The Bucknell B team will be situated in lane 3. The Army B team situated in lane 2. And swimmers will take their starting positions here. And away they go. The first swimmer in each, it'll be Wynn in lane 1, Mowry in lane 2, Green in lane 3, Harlow in lane 4, Kopak in lane 5, Wang in lane 6, Sweetser in lane 7. That Army A team early on out to a little bit of a lead here, about maybe a shoulder and head type lead here. And in second now for this Army A group is going to be Cohen Rankin. Swimming second for Bucknell, Zartaraski in the A, then Jordan, Park, Russell, and Pogue. The Bucknell A just behind the Army A team here, but Cohen Rankin is putting together quite a split here in his 50. Goes with a 20.05, beats Bucknell's A side by 0.24. 0.2 of a second, wow. So now hitting the wall in a perfect turn. Oh wow, this Army men's 200 free is just pulling away from the crowd right now, including the Army B team might even find a way to get into second place here. They're really going against this Bucknell A squad. They're still in second, but Army just a little bit behind them here. Now we get to the final swimmer here, and it looks like Army is going to easily win this 200 freestyle relay. In second, it's going to be close at the wall. Bucknell wins it by 0.1 at the wall, and then our Army B team will get third. The Bucknell B will get fourth, and we'll go from there. So an excellent race there in the 200 free, and that Army 200 free relay, I'd be a little bit surprised if I wouldn't see them in one of the top teams in the Patriot League coming up here when they have a chance to go to that championship meet. Stick around here as we get the scores together for you. Of course, stick around till we announce the score, then look at some of the action here. Of course, the Bucknell women's team playing here just in the other side of the wall, if you will, the glass wall, being Soika Pavilion, of course, right over there. And they were tied 29-29 at half. They've won 2 games in a row on the road against 2 very good teams as well, so that's huge for the women. For Bucknell, the men, of course, play over at American today. They'll be there. I believe it's a 4 p.m. start. You know, if you're local, tune into 107.3. You can hear the greatest of all time, Doug Birdsong, do his thing for the Bucknell basketball squad. You can also tune into ESPN Plus right now, and you can watch some of the women's basketball game. I don't know if it's over. I obviously can't tell sitting over here. But watch some of that as well. I believe it's Jack Riddenauer is going to be on the call over there with Hugh Strain. So some good stuff going on here today in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, in terms of that. Probably much needed after a lot of the Penn State faithful, probably pretty sad after that last loss there. But Bucknell playing American, of course, in men's and women's basketball. Check on some wrestling for you in a little bit, too. Looks like they're adding up the scores here in the Canadian Auditorium. So we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back to you with those scores. All right, so we're going to wait here. Obviously, they have to compile all the scores. You know, I hate to leave you on a cliffhanger like this, but we're going to have to end the broadcast. So you're going to have to check back in on those final scores here from Canadian Auditorium. You know, if I'm a guessing man, a betting man, I do think Army probably just edged out the Bison, but it was a great meet here inside of Canadian Auditorium, as always. Make sure you can find your way out here at some point this year, whether it be for water polo or swimming or basketball. Come out and join us here on Bucknell's campus. We always appreciate to have you. And to anybody back home listening, thank you for joining us here today on the Bucknell Athletics YouTube page. Join us again sometime for another matchup. My name is Luke Smith, and I am signing off here from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania.